We're back with another edition of the Eye on the U Miami Herald Insider. 4 downs of hard-hitting football coverage on the UM football team. Manny, we start off with first down here. We just came off a 2-game snide here with the Miami Hurricanes. They had lost a Thursday nighter to Cincinnati, and then lost their ACC opener against FSU on the road. Stayed in that one, but still lost it nonetheless. Now you get your first ACC win if you're the Hurricanes. You beat Virginia Tech 30-20, a game you needed to have. Tell us about what went well for the Hurricanes. We saw them improve on third down, make some other improvements. Just give us the rundown of what the Hurricanes did effectively against Virginia Tech.
Well, I think number one for me, they got back to creating turnovers. You know, that's really what this defense lives and breathes off of. 4 turnovers in the game. All of them were huge. 2 of them by Artie Burns, who now has 5 interceptions on the season. It's the most interceptions by a Hurricane since Sean Taylor had 10 back in 2003. So, you know, you're creating turnovers again, and you know, when you're giving up a lot of X plays on defense, you need to do something to stop the bleeding, and so the Hurricanes got back to that. Offensively, I was really encouraged by Brad Kaya. We talked about what a great game he had at Florida State a couple weeks ago, how they were starting to get better on third down. Well, guess what? Brad Kaya continues to put the team on his shoulders and make plays when they really need it. And going into this week's game against Clemson, you need a quarterback who's confident in playing well to beat a team that's ranked top 10 in the country. Aside from that, some of the things I didn't necessarily like in the game, the running game, it continues to struggle. The offensive line, we've seen them make some changes there this week, switching guys up, moving guys around, trying to find the right combination of the 7 guys that we've talked about in the past. So, you know, those are the things I didn't like about the game. But, you know, in the end, they get a 30-20 win, and they keep their Coastal Division title hopes alive and strong.
Another thing you couldn't like if you're a Hurricane fan is that your leading tackler, Rafael Kirby, he goes down at middle linebacker, so he's out for the season now. Insert Juwan Young. Juwan Young comes in. He comes in, has a tackle for loss, has an interception, so filled in well in that on-the-spot duty against Virginia Tech. Now you're going to need a consistent effort from him at the middle linebacker spot throughout the season. Manny, what do you see from this defense that leads you to believe that they can recover if you feel that they can, and what can Juwan Young provide at that middle linebacker spot?
Well, you know, the one thing you saw out of Juwan Young right away was confidence. He went in there and he was directing traffic and telling guys where to be, and he made sort of an instant impact. I liked his aggression, you know, making tackles and playing smart. And so, you know, the number one thing that you like is that his teammates are all saying positive things about him. They're all talking about, man, you know, he's learned from one of the best, Rafael Kirby. You know, he knows what he's doing out there. You know, he isn't a true freshman. Juwan Young was here last season. He did learn. I know he was injured for a while, but he did learn, spend the year learning. So you have a sophomore out there. You don't have a baby-faced freshman who's doesn't know what he's doing. And then, you know, you got some other guys around him that have played a whole lot. You got Jermaine Grace. You got a Tyreek McCord. You got guys in there that are going to take some of the pressure off of him. The number one thing the Hurricanes defense has to do this week is stop giving up the X play. Last year, they were 5th in the country in fewest plays of 20 yards or more. They'd only given up 39 in the entire season. So far, they've already given up 32 in this season through half the schedule. So, you know, that's the number one thing for this Hurricanes defense. You know, they're going to come through and get turnovers now and again, but they just cannot continue to allow the big play. If they can cut that out, then they have a chance to upset Clemson.
So now looking ahead to that game against Clemson, there are some tough matchups. You have a very good front four defensively for Clemson against a Miami Hurricanes offensive line that we have seen struggle. So there's a potential for a mismatch there. Also a quarterback in Deshaun Watson that's been lighting it up. He's having a tremendous season. But he also does have a tendency to turn the ball over, and we have seen the UM defense can force turnovers. So Manny, let's look ahead to this matchup. How do you think it'll play out?
Well, I think the Hurricanes can pull off the upset. I really do. And part of that, you know, people look at Clemson and they say, man, they're number 6 in the country. They've looked so good. They had the nice win at home over Notre Dame. But you know what? They've only played 1 game on the road till now. And that was at Louisville back, I think, 2nd or 3rd week of the season. They barely won that game 20-17. Not that Sun Life Stadium is nearly the home field advantage that the Orange Bowl used to be for the Hurricanes. But you take a team like Clemson out of where they're comfortable, which is playing at home in front of their raucous crowd, and put them on the road against a good Miami team with a Brad Kaya, you got to give them a chance to win. And like you said, you know, Deshaun Watson, without question, he's going to be the best quarterback the Hurricanes have faced until this point. So, you know, you're playing a heck of a quarterback who can make plays with his legs and make plays throwing on the run. But that said, you know, this Hurricanes defense the whole team rises to the occasion at home. They play much better at home. You look at their numbers at home, much better. This game's a lot more. I'd say the Canes probably have very little shot at winning it, but it's at home. Clemson hasn't played a lot there, so I give the Canes a great shot at pulling the upset this weekend.
Clemson, number 6 in the country, comes in at 6-0, but a noon game at home, it could be hot. I know it's been windy around these parts the last few days, but if it is hot Saturday afternoon, that may even give the Hurricanes an even better shot at this.
All right, David, so now we flip things around on 4th down. Let's talk about recruiting. I know the Hurricanes lost a commitment after the FSU loss. James Pierre, the defensive back out of Deerfield Beach High, he ends up going to flip into North Carolina, but they did pick up a 2018 recruit from Miami, Killian, a wide receiver. Can you talk about him a little bit and where the Canes sort of stand right now with recruiting?
Yeah, I felt bad after last show because James Pierre decommitted right after we filmed it, and then I had said no one jumped off board, but then right afterwards someone does. But yeah, he went to North Carolina, cited that his parents don't want him in South Florida anymore around the craziness in this area. That could be taken a lot of ways. But the Hurricanes did pick up just recently, just yesterday, Wednesday, a commit in the 2018 class, a sophomore out of Killian, tall wide receiver, Dequarius Wiggins, 6'2", 6'3", big target. I actually just saw him play last Thursday against South Dade, a vaunted defense for South Dade, including UM commit at DB, James Wiggins, and he put up 2 touchdowns in that one, had a really nice game. I've heard from coaches that he was a youth football legend of sorts, so a lot of high schools wanted to get their hands on him, and now as a sophomore, already had that UM offer from the spring, decided to commit. Other schools, he says, are showing a lot of interest, are FSU and Purdue right now, and I'm sure he'll gain a ton of other offers, but right now he's with the Hurricanes.
All right, it should be a big recruiting weekend for the Hurricanes. Clemson coming to town. You know, they're still paying the price for the NCAA rules violations. They're only allowed to have, I guess, 1 visit, you know, for the whole season. To have kids come in on 1 visit for free and have tickets. So normally they get the whole season, right? Anytime these kids were in town, they could come and watch.
Right, and a lot of these kids are using that one on this Clemson game. So a lot of recruits will be out there, South Florida and from elsewhere that the Hurricanes are recruiting. So it's the outcome of this game could bode well for the Hurricanes if they win, and you know, even if they lose, but it's a tight game and they see, okay, they were competitive against FSU, they're competitive against Clemson, that could still bode well. But you just don't want to get blown out either.
We kind of gave you a 5th down there, David. We'll see you next week.